Study booklet Food Safety and Sanitation course for food service managers. This page intentionally left blank. Course on Food Safety and Sanitation for Food Safety Managers Study Booklet Table of Contents Introduction. 1 Food Safety in Service. 1 Person in Charge, PIC. 1 Preventing Contamination by Hands. 2 to 3 Good Hygienic Practices. 3. Food sources and labeling. 3 to 4. Time temperature control for safety food, TCS. 5 Cooking temperature chart. 6 Danger zone. 7 Proper cooling. 8 Hazard analysis and critical control point plan. 9 Consumer advisory. 10. Highly susceptible populations, HSP. 10. Disease-causing organisms. 11 Foodborne illness. 11 Foodborne illness-causing organism chart. 12 to 13 Employee health. 14 to 15 Warewashing. 15 Warewashing methods. 16. Preventing cross-contamination. 17 to 18. Chemical and physical hazards. 19 Insect and rodent control. 20 Water, plumbing, and waste. 20 Plan review procedure. 21 Inspections. 22 Imminent health hazard. 22. Conclusion. 23. Certified food manger class. 24 to 25 Glossary. 26. This page intentionally left blank. Introduction. The mission of the Louisville Metro Department of Public Health and Wellness Food Safety Program is to prevent foodborne illness. The food safety team is ready to assist you by answering questions or addressing concerns about food safety and sanitation practices in your food service establishment. This study booklet and the Food Manager Certification course are designed to provide food service staff with the key elements of food safety. As a certified food manager, it is important for you to demonstrate and share your knowledge with your co-workers and employees regarding safe food handling and personal hygienic practices that reduce the risk of foodborne illness. The Kentucky Food Code is based on the 2013 FDA Food Code and annex in accordance with state law. Also, there are local regulations that must be followed in order to operate a food service establishment in Louisville, Jefferson County. According to Chapter 118 of the Louisville Metro Code of Ordinances, LMCO, an authorized food service manager must be present at a food service establishment during all hours of operation. A link to the KY Food Code, Louisville Metro Ordinances, and additional food safety information is available on our website at www.louisvillechi.gov/government/health-wellness/food-safety. Keep this booklet, reference it, share it and use it. Thank you and good luck. Food Safety in Service. A food service establishment may request an in-service, food safety training, that is provided by an environmental health specialist, EHS, from the Food Safety Program. The EHS will come to your facility and provide a tailored presentation on food safety, ways to reduce the risks of foodborne illness, and good retail practices. This service is complimentary but must be scheduled in advance. Please contact your area inspector at 502-574-6650 for more information or to schedule an in-service. Person in charge. There must be a designated person in charge, PIC, present during all hours of operation. The PIC must demonstrate food safety knowledge and ensure compliance with the KY Food Code when performing duties. This includes supervising food service operations, educating food service employees on safe food practices, ensuring that the food served to customers is safe, excluding or restricting employees who are sick, ensuring that proper hand washing procedures are followed, ensuring that food temperature is in a safe range, ensuring that proper cooling procedures are followed. 1. 2. Ensuring proper procedures are followed for cleaning and sanitizing equipment and utensils, confirming that food received is safe, restricting, limiting, access of unauthorized personnel, preventing contamination, by hands, proper hand washing, Hand washing is the most effective method of preventing foodborne illness. Food service employees must thoroughly wash their hands and the exposed parts of their arms with soap and warm water. Hands must be washed before starting work, after touching raw meat, before starting to work with food, utensils, or equipment, when switching between raw foods and ready-to-eat foods, before putting on disposable gloves, after removing disposable gloves, after touching dirty utensils and equipment, after coughing, sneezing, or using a tissue, after eating, drinking, or using tobacco products, after touching bare human body parts, after touching animals, after using the bathroom. As many times as necessary during your shift to prevent contamination and ensure hygienic practices after bussing tables. If an employee operates a mechanical dishwasher, they must wash their hands after touching dirty dishes and before touching clean, sanitized dishes or utensils. Proper hand washing procedure. Wash your hands in a designated hand sink for 20 seconds, using soap and warm running water at 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Dry them with a disposable paper towel. Protect your hands using a paper towel when turning off the faucet. This will prevent recontamination. Remember to use this method when leaving the bathroom by opening the door using a paper towel or pushing open the door with your elbow. Hand sinks are for hand washing only. Hand sinks must always be easily accessible by food service employees. Hands should not be washed in sinks other than those designated for hand washing. Hand sanitizer cannot be used in place of hand washing. Hand washing reminder should be placed by all sinks, including bathroom sinks. Proper glove use. Remember that gloves are used to protect food from contamination, not to protect your hands from food. The use of gloves does not replace the need to wash your hands. Food service personnel should wash their hands before putting on gloves, when switching tasks and after removing gloves. No bare hand contact with ready-to-eat foods. Ready-to-eat food, RTE, is food that can be safely eaten without additional preparation or cooking to achieve food safety. Examples include bread, pastries, pizza taken from the oven, a salad. Do not use your bare hands when handling RTE. Food service employees must use a barrier when handling RTE foods. An acceptable barrier includes tongs, scoop, deli paper, disposable gloves. Good hygienic practices. Eating and drinking by employees. Food service workers may only eat food and drink beverages, which should have a lid and straw, in designated areas. In order to prevent food contamination, the designated area should be a place where the contamination of exposed food, clean equipment, utensils, linens, unwrapped single-service items and single-use items cannot occur. All food service workers must wash their hands after eating, drinking, smoking, or handling their mobile phone. Jewelry. Food service employees should keep their nails short and clean. They cannot wear nail polish or artificial nails if they handle exposed food unless they wear gloves. Jewelry provides a hiding place for germs that can cause illness and is difficult to clean by hand washing. Except for a plain ring such as a wedding band, food employees may not wear jewelry on their arms and hands while preparing food. Hair restraints. Food employees must wear hair restraints such as hats, hair coverings or nets, beard restraints and clothing that covers body hair to keep their hair from contacting exposed food, clean utensils, linens, and food service items. Food sources and labeling. Food must be obtained from sources that comply with the law. All meat and fish must come from an authorized source and meat must be USDA inspected. Ensure your facility has established procedures for obtaining and receiving safe food that includes checking temperatures for refrigerated and frozen foods, checking for dented cans, and checking that produce is fresh and wholesome. Canned food prepared at home is not allowed. All food served in a retail food service establishment must be prepared on site. Food prepared in a private home is not allowed. 3. Safety when purchasing and receiving food. Always buy food from an approved source. Home cooking is not an approved source. Check if the food is damaged or spoiled upon receipt. Inspect raw packaged foods for damage caused by pests at the time of delivery. Inspect frozen foods to verify that they were not defrosted and refrozen. Ice crystals are a sign of defrosting and refreezing. If frozen foods feel soft to the touch, check the temperature. Examine cans for signs of rust, sharp dents, or dents on the rims or side seams. Cans in these conditions cannot be accepted. Severely dented, crushed, or leaking cans must be discarded. Check the temperature of refrigerated foods, 41 degrees Fahrenheit per 5 degrees Celsius or below. Reject refrigerated food if the internal temperature is above 41 degrees Fahrenheit per 5 degrees Celsius. Raw eggs in their shell can be received at a higher temperature of 45 degrees Fahrenheit per 7 degrees Celsius or below. Condition: all packaged foods must be in good condition, whole and undamaged. Foods in dented, swollen, rusty, or bulging cans should not be used or sold in a food service establishment. Food in defective cans be a source of microorganisms that can cause foodborne illness or other health risks. Adulterated spoiled. Adulterated food is defined as being impure, unsafe, or unwholesome. Food that is moldy, spoiled, or shows evidence of tampering should be discarded immediately. Unpasteurized milk is not allowed. Grade A milk that is frozen is adulterated and must be discarded. Additionally, Grade A dairy products cannot be used or sold after their expiration date. Shell stock tags: shellfish, oysters, clams, mussels and fresh or frozen scallops must have an identification tag and documentation indicating they are from an approved source. The tag must remain attached to the container until empty and thereafter kept on file at the establishment for 90 days. Labeling requirements: labeling is used to identify the contents of a container. Any food that has been removed from its original container and placed in a different one must be labeled with its contents. Every food container requires a label of origin that specifies the ingredients, store name, address, and any allergen information. All labels must be in English as the primary language. Foods containing any of the following ingredients must have a label indicating that they contain allergens: nuts, peanuts, soy, milk and dairy products, fish, shellfish, eggs, wheat and sulfites. State Labeling Information and Standards 502, 564, 7181. 4. Time temperature control for safety food, formerly potentially hazardous food. Time temperature control for safety food, TCS, is food whose temperature must be monitored and controlled in order to limit or prevent illness-causing organisms. Proper temperatures are 41 degrees Fahrenheit per 5 degrees Celsius or below for cold holding and 135 degrees Fahrenheit per 58 degrees Celsius and above for hot holding. Do not rely on the temperature display on the equipment unit. The temperature of the unit does not accurately indicate the internal temperature of the food inside the unit. Some examples of TCS that must be held at 41 degrees Fahrenheit per 5 degrees Celsius or below are: cut leafy greens, cut tomatoes, cut melons. Grade A dairy products, e.g., soft cheeses, milk, yogurt, sour cream, etc. Sushi. Deli meats. Some examples of TCS that must be held at 135 degrees Fahrenheit per 58 degrees Celsius and above are: cooked meats, cooked vegetables, cooked pasta, cooked rice, baked potatoes. Date marking, ready-to-eat food, RTE, is food that can be safely eaten without additional preparation or cooking to achieve food safety. Time temperature control for safety food, TCS, is food whose temperature must be monitored and controlled in order to limit or prevent illness-causing organisms. Both RTE and TCS must be labeled with the date the food was prepared or the date the food must be discarded. Either method for date marking is acceptable. However, The establishment must use the same method consistently. The establishment may keep food products that are date-marked and stored at 41 degrees Fahrenheit per 5 degrees Celsius or below for no more than 7 days. To ensure proper date marking, remember that day number 1 is the day of preparation, the day the food is removed from the container, or the day the food was thawed. If prepared food is frozen, time is stopped and starts again once the food is thawed. For example, if a deli salad was prepared on day 1 and frozen on day 3, the day it is removed from the freezer is day 3. Cooking temperatures. TCS foods that require cooking before they are consumed must be cooked to the proper temperature to eliminate harmful bacteria. Color and texture alone will not indicate whether your food is safe for consumption. Use a calibrated metal. 5. STEM thermometer to check the temperature. After cooking, hold the food at 135 degrees Fahrenheit per 58 degrees Celsius or above if required. Food that can be reheated, such as chili and soup, must be rapidly heated to an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit per 74 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds. All foods listed in the cooking temperature chart below must reach a specific internal temperature for at least 15 seconds to kill unwanted microorganisms that can cause foodborne illness. Cooking temperature chart. Vegetables. Pork, fish and eggs. 135 degrees Fahrenheit per 58 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds. 145 degrees Fahrenheit per 63 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds. Ground beef, injected meats and commercially raised game meats. Poultry, chicken, wild game animals. Stuffed fish, meat, pasta, casseroles. 155 degrees Fahrenheit per 69 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds. 165 degrees Fahrenheit per 74 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds. Reheated TCS food, leftovers. 165 degrees Fahrenheit per 74 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds within 2 hours. Holding temperatures for TCS food. For hot holding. 135 degrees Fahrenheit per 58 degrees Celsius. For cold holding. 41 F5 degrees C or below for a period of up to 7 days. 6. Danger zone. Hot foods should be held at 135 degrees Fahrenheit per 58 degrees Celsius or above, and cold foods should be held at 41 degrees Fahrenheit per 5 degrees Celsius or below. The range between these temperatures is considered the danger zone. Time temperature control for safety food, TCS, should never be exposed to the danger zone for a prolonged period. 135 degrees Fahrenheit per 58 degrees Celsius or above. Vegetables are cooked to 135 degrees Fahrenheit. 41 degrees Fahrenheit per 5 degrees Celsius or below. Hot holding food. All hot food should be held at 135 degrees Fahrenheit per 58 degrees Celsius or above. Food should be cooked or reheated to an appropriate temperature and then hot held at 135 degrees Fahrenheit per 58 degrees Celsius. Do not expose food to danger zone temperatures. Between 41 degrees Fahrenheit per 5 degrees Celsius and 135 degrees Fahrenheit per 58 degrees Celsius. Bacteria grow rapidly at these temperatures. Keep food cold. All cold foods should be held at 41 degrees Fahrenheit per 5 degrees Celsius or below. Food must be received and stored at the appropriate temperature. 7. Proper cooling. It is very important to cool food rapidly. The longer food stays in the danger zone, above 41 degrees Fahrenheit per 5 degrees Celsius and below 135 degrees Fahrenheit per 58 degrees Celsius, the faster bacteria will grow. Cooling food properly for later use is as important as cooking food to the correct temperature. If cooling is not done correctly, it can cause someone to become ill. Food must cool from 135 degrees Fahrenheit per 58 degrees Celsius to 70 degrees Fahrenheit per 21 degrees Celsius within 2 hours, and then continue to cool to 41 degrees Fahrenheit per 5 degrees Celsius within 4 hours. There is a 6-hour window to cool foods properly. If the food does not cool to 70 degrees Fahrenheit per 21 degrees Celsius within 2 hours, it must be reheated to 165 degrees Fahrenheit per 74 degrees Celsius to kill any illness-causing organisms and then cooled again properly. If the food does not reach 41 degrees Fahrenheit per 5 degrees Celsius within a 4-hour period, it should be discarded. Ways to rapidly cool food include cooling wands, stirring utensil that contains frozen water. Shallow pans, 2 inches deep or less. Ice baths, use a deep tray filled with ice and water. Submerge a shallow food container in the ice water. The container must be placed in the ice and not on top of the ice. Use rapid cooling equipment, such as a blast freezer. Use a calibrated metal stem thermometer and a cooling log to monitor the cooling process. Keep food uncovered while cooling. Covering food prevents the heat from being released. Remember to stir food frequently to help the cooling process. Be aware that cooling a large amount of hot food can raise the air temperature in the refrigerator. Cool food from 135 degrees Fahrenheit per 58 degrees Celsius to 70 degrees Fahrenheit per 21 degrees Celsius within 2 hours. Continue cooling from 70 degrees Fahrenheit per 21 degrees Celsius to 41 degrees Fahrenheit per 5 degrees Celsius within 4 hours. Cool food rapidly. 8. Records. It is very important to maintain records or logs for processes such as cooling, hot holding temperature checks, refrigeration temperatures, etc. These records and logs provide documentation that proper procedures and processes are being followed. Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Point, HACP, Plan. HACP is a method of identifying, evaluating, and controlling food safety hazards. Food safety hazards are biological, chemical, or physical agents that can cause disease or injury if not controlled, for example, temperature control. An HACP plan is designed to ensure that hazards are prevented, eliminated, or reduced to an acceptable level before food reaches the consumer. The 7 HACP principles include: Principle 1. Conduct risk analysis. Principle 2. Determine the critical control points, CCP. Principle 3. Set critical limits. Principle 4. Establish control procedures. Principle 5. Establish corrective measures. Principle 6. Establish verification procedures. Principle 7. Establish registration procedures and documentation. It may be necessary to implement an HACP plan if an establishment conducts one of the following special processes. Smoking food as a method of food preservation does not include smoking food for taste only. Curing food. Packaging of food using reduced oxygen packaging, ROP. Operating a shellfish display tank used to store and display live shellfish offered for human consumption. Sprouting seeds or beans. Using a food additive. Acidification, for example using vinegar to acidify rice. Custom processing of animals to be consumed at home and are not for sale or service at a food establishment. Making food using a method other than the one determined by the regulatory authority that requires a variance. 9. Consumer advisory. An establishment is required to disclose if they are serving raw or undercooked animal food items and inform consumers of the increased risk of foodborne illness if these items are consumed. Examples of raw or undercooked products include but are not limited to the following: hamburgers that can be cooked to order, sushi, Oysters on the half shell, raw oysters. Raw egg Caesar salad. Consumers should be informed of the increased risk using brochures, deli case or menu advisories, label statements, table tents, placards, or other effective written means. The food items should be identified with an asterisk with a footnote that states that the item is served raw, undercooked, or may contain raw or undercooked ingredients. Below is an example. Asterisk consuming raw or undercooked meats, poultry, seafood, shellfish or eggs may increase your risk of foodborne illness. Highly susceptible population, HSP. A highly susceptible population, HSP, includes people who may have a weakened immune system due to age or a health condition or children who do not have a fully developed immune system. These individuals may be more susceptible to foodborne illness. Highly susceptible populations, HSP, include children ages 6 and under, adults older than 65, pregnant women, individuals with weakened immune systems. Facilities such as hospitals, nurseries, preschools, nursing homes, and adult care centers, where care is provided for sick or elderly people, have additional food safety requirements. Guidelines for highly susceptible populations, HSP. Use only pasteurized foods. Do not reuse condiments in individual packets. Do not use unpasteurized eggs, milk, or juice. Raw seed sprouts. Raw or partially cooked animal foods are not allowed. No bare hand contact with ready-to-eat foods. Do not use the time as a public health control for TCS foods. 10. Disease-causing organisms. Bacteria are microorganisms that are found throughout our environment. Some bacteria can cause foodborne illness. Bacteria can be found in food products, on the human body, and on equipment, for example on cutting boards, slicers, and can openers. Bacteria can also be found on a food service worker's apron and on wiping cloths used to clean food contact surfaces. Bacteria can survive in a variety of temperatures, but they usually grow faster between 41 degrees Fahrenheit per 5 degrees Celsius and 135 degrees Fahrenheit per 58 degrees Celsius in a food environment. This temperature range is called the danger zone. The more time bacteria spend in this temperature range, the faster they will multiply. Hepatitis A is an example of a virus. You may have a virus and not show symptoms. If a food service worker has a virus and does not properly wash their hands after using the restroom, the virus can be transmitted from their hands to the food. Viruses can spread through poor personal hygiene, so proper hand washing is essential. Parasites are microorganisms that live in fish and meat. Proper freezing and cooking will destroy most parasites. Unlike parasites, bacteria and viruses are not always killed by freezing. Therefore, cooking food to the proper temperature is vitally important to preventing foodborne illness. Foodborne illness. According to the FDA, foodborne diseases cause approximately 48 million illnesses, 128,000 hospitalizations, and 3,000 deaths in the United States each year. The 5 major risk factors that contribute to foodborne illness in retail and food service establishments according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention are: improper holding temperatures, inadequate cooking, contaminated equipment, food from unsafe sources, poor personal hygiene. As a certified food manager, your goal should be to ensure that these types of employee behavior and practices don't occur in your establishment. The following foodborne disease chart shows the foods commonly associated with the disease, onset time, symptoms, duration, and food sources. 11. 12 foodborne illness-causing organisms in the U.S. Organism onset time after ingesting signs and symptoms duration food sources Bacillus cereus 10 to 16 hours. Abdominal cramps, watery diarrhea, nausea 24 to 48 hours meats, stews, gravies, vanilla sauce Campylobacter jejuni 2 to 5 days diarrhea, abdominal cramps, fever, vomiting 2 to 10 days raw and undercooked poultry, unpasteurized milk, contaminated water Clostridium botulinum 12 to 72 hours vomiting, diarrhea, blurred vision, double vision, difficulty in swallowing, muscle weakness. Can result in respiratory failure and death. Variable improperly canned food, especially home-canned vegetables, fermented fish, baked potatoes wrapped in aluminum foil Clostridium perfringens 8 to 16 hours. Intense abdominal cramps, watery diarrhea usually 24 hours meats, poultry, gravy, dried or pre-cooked foods, time and or temperature abused foods Cryptosporidium 2 to 10 days diarrhea, usually watery, stomach cramps, upset stomach, slight fever. May improve, but recur over weeks to months. Uncooked food or food contaminated by an ill food handler after cooking, contaminated drinking water Escherichia coli, E. coli, producing toxin 1 to 3 days watery diarrhea, abdominal cramps, some vomiting 3 to 7 or more days water or food contaminated with human feces E. coli 0157, H7 1 to 8 days severe, often bloody, diarrhea, abdominal pain and vomiting. Usually little or no fever is present. More common in children 4 years or younger. Can lead to kidney failure 5 to 10 days. Undercooked beef, especially hamburger, unpasteurized milk and juice, raw fruits and vegetables, for example sprouts, and contaminated water hepatitis A 28 days average, 15 to 50 days, diarrhea, dark urine, jaundice and flu-like symptoms of fever, headache, nausea, and abdominal pain. Variable, 2 weeks 3 months. Raw produce, contaminated drinking water, uncooked foods and cooked foods that are not reheated after contact with an infected food handler. Shellfish from contaminated waters. 13 Organism onset time after ingesting signs and symptoms duration food sources Listeria monocytogenes 9 to 48 hours for gastrointestinal symptoms, 2 to 6 weeks for invasive disease fever, muscle aches and nausea or diarrhea. Pregnant women may have a mild flu-like illness, and infection can lead to premature delivery or stillbirth. The elderly or persons with weakened immune systems may develop bacteremia or meningitis. Variable unpasteurized milk, soft cheeses made with unpasteurized milk, ready-to-eat deli meats noroviruses 12 to 48 hours nausea, vomiting, abdominal cramping, diarrhea, fever, headache. Diarrhea is more prevalent in adults, vomiting more common in children 0.5 to 2.5 days. Raw produce, contaminated drinking water, uncooked foods and cooked foods that are not reheated after contact with an infected food handler. Shellfish from contaminated waters Salmonella 6 to 48 hours diarrhea, fever, abdominal cramps, vomiting 4 to 7 days. Eggs, poultry, meat. Unpasteurized milk or juice or cheese, contaminated raw fruits and vegetables Shigella 4 to 7 days. Abdominal cramps, fever, and diarrhea. Stools may contain blood and mucus 24 to 48 hours. Raw produce, contaminated drinking water, uncooked foods and cooked foods that are not reheated after contact with an infected food handler Staphylococcus aureus 1 to 6 hours. Sudden onset of severe nausea and vomiting. Abdominal cramps, diarrhea and fever may be present 24 to 48 hours. Unrefrigerated or improperly refrigerated meats, potato and egg salads, cream pastries Vibrio parahemolyticus 4 to 96 hours. Watery, occasionally bloody, diarrhea, abdominal cramps, nausea, vomiting, fever 2 to 5 days. Undercooked or raw seafood, such as shellfish, especially oysters. Information source, U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, www.fda.gov. 14 Employee health. When an employee becomes ill, they must report their illness to the person in charge and report the date their symptoms started or the diagnosis. Information on employee health and activities related to foodborne illnesses should be used when deciding whether to restrict or exclude the employee from the establishment. See the chart below. Exclusion: the employee cannot work at the establishment. Restriction: the employee cannot handle food but may perform other tasks. Reportable symptoms: measures adopted by the food establishment. Requirements for food service employees to return to work. Local health department approval to return to work. Vomiting. Exclusion: the employee cannot work at the establishment. The employee must be symptom-free for at least 24 hours or submit medical documentation stating that the symptoms are from a non-infectious condition. No diarrhea. Exclusion: the employee cannot work at the establishment. The employee must be symptom-free for at least 24 hours or submit medical documentation stating that the symptoms are from a non-infectious condition. No jaundice, yellowing of the skin and/or eyes. Exclusion: the employee cannot work at the establishment. Call the manager, notify the health department. Medical documentation that the food handler does not have the hepatitis A virus or other fecal-orally transmitted infections. Yes. Sore throat with fever. Restriction: do not allow food handling. Medical documentation stating that the employee has received antibiotic treatment for more than 24 hours, a negative throat culture, or that they are free from Streptococcus pyogenes infection. No *. Infected wound or sores. Restriction: do not allow food handling * after the skin, infected wound, cut or sore is properly covered. No. 15. An employee is required to report any of these symptoms or diagnoses to the person in charge, PIC. See the table below for information on reportable and excludable diagnoses. Diagnosis: SHENS, reportable. Excludable notification: Salmonella typhi XX E. picra, hepatitis A virus XX E. picra, Escherichia coli, E. coli, XX E. picra, norovirus XX E. picra, Shigella XX E. picra, Shiga toxin-producing E. coli X, HSP, nontyphoidal Salmonella X, HSP, E equals employee PIC equals person in charge RA equals regulatory authority. If an employee has been diagnosed with one of the conditions listed above that is subject to exclusion, the food service establishment must inform the health department before the employee returns to work. Warewashing: warewashing is the mechanical or manual method of washing, rinsing and sanitizing utensils. All utensils, kitchenware, tableware, containers, glassware, pots, pans, etc., and equipment used in the storage, preparation, transportation, dispensing, sale and service of food must be washed, rinsed, and sanitized. Sanitization uses chemicals or heat to kill microorganisms that can cause foodborne illnesses. Test strips are required to measure the concentration of sanitizer. There are different test strips for a chlorine-based sanitizer and for a quaternary ammonium-based sanitizer, QUAT. Make sure your establishment is using the correct test strip to measure the concentration of sanitizer. Additionally, do not rely on an automatic dispenser. Use the correct test strip to verify the concentration is correct. Warewashing methods: mechanical dishwashing, heat sanitization, chemical sanitization. Final rinse temperature between 180 degrees Fahrenheit per 83 degrees Celsius and 194 degrees Fahrenheit per 90 degrees Celsius. Frequently, every 2 to 3 hours. Check with a heat strip or holding thermometer. Chlorine solution strength between 50 and 100 ppm, parts per million. Frequently, every 2 to 3 hours, check the concentration with a chlorine strip. Manual dishwashing. Scrape item to remove food waste. Wash with soap and warm water. Rinse with clean water. Sanitize with QUAT, 200-400 ppm, or chlorine, 50-100 ppm. 16. Preventing cross-contamination. Cross-contamination occurs when microorganisms are transferred from one surface to another through poor personal hygiene, dirty equipment, and inadequate food protection. Examples of cross-contamination: using the same equipment to prepare raw food and cooked food without cleaning or sanitizing between each use. Improper food storage. Cooked food contaminated by drippings from raw foods. Ready-to-eat food that contacts an item that hasn't been properly cleaned and sanitized. Not washing hands after handling raw food, dirty clothes, or other contaminated products. Bare hand contact with ready-to-eat foods. Foodborne illness-causing organisms need several hours to adapt to a new environment before rapidly reproducing. Therefore, it is very important to properly clean and sanitize food preparation surfaces and utensils at least every 4 hours or after use, which prevents the spread of bacteria. When cleaning slicers and other fixed equipment that cannot be submerged in water, clean or spray with sanitizer, using a sanitizer solution, chlorine at 200 ppm or quaternary ammonium, QUAT, at 400 ppm. Follow the manufacturer's recommendations for cleaning fixed equipment, such as ice cream machines and large commercial mixers. Proper food storage to prevent cross-contamination. Proper food storage is very important to prevent cross-contamination. Ready-to-eat foods, RTE, should be stored above raw meats and unwashed raw produce to prevent contamination. Food should be stored in order of cooking temperature. Ready-to-eat food should be on the top shelf. Food with the highest cooking temperature should be stored on the lowest shelf. Food type. Cooking. Ready-to-eat food. Temperature. Vegetables. Raw pork, raw fish and raw eggs. 135 degrees Fahrenheit per 58 degrees Celsius. 145 degrees Fahrenheit per 63 degrees Celsius. Raw ground beef, steak, game meats. Raw poultry, chicken. 155 degrees Fahrenheit per 69 degrees Celsius. 165 degrees Fahrenheit per 74 degrees Celsius. 17. Food contact surfaces. A food contact surface is defined as any surface that comes into direct contact with food. All food contact surfaces must be hard, smooth, and easily cleanable. This includes ice machines and ice dispensing equipment. It is important to maintain food contact surfaces to prevent hazards, which can contaminate food by allowing bacteria to grow in areas that are damaged and difficult to clean. Clean and sanitize all food contact surfaces at least every 4 hours or as necessary. A contact surface is defined as any surface that comes into direct contact with food. Examples include knife, cutting board, deli slicer, can opener, food prep table. Food contact surfaces cannot be lined with cardboard or aluminum foil. Also, untreated or unsealed wood is not allowed as a food contact surface. The following items are not permitted for food service use: pitted or chipped Teflon, glass thermometers, reusing containers that were originally used to hold toxic products, cleaning supplies, pesticide bottles, garbage bags for food storage, plastic grocery bags for food storage, non-food grade containers, such as trash cans. Wiping cloths. Using a wiping cloth is a quick and simple way to sanitize surfaces. However, a dirty wiping cloth can be a source of cross-contamination. Wiping cloths should be laundered daily. Comply with these requirements to ensure wiping cloths are safe to use. Wiping cloths that are in use must be stored in sanitizing solution. Cloths should be kept in separate containers and properly labeled according to their use. Counters and equipment surfaces, raw animal food contact surfaces, and non-food contact surfaces. 100 to 200 ppm for a chlorine sanitizing solution. 200 to 400 ppm for a quaternary ammonium-based sanitizing solution, QUAT. Use a chemical test kit to frequently check the concentration of the wiping cloth solution because the concentration will decrease with time. Replace the sanitizing solution when the concentration is not at the correct level. Sanitizer containers should not be stored directly on the floor. Place a tray or bucket as a barrier so that the bottom of the container is not in direct contact with the floor. In addition, sanitizer containers should be kept where they cannot be knocked over or spilled and possibly contaminate food. 18. Chemical and physical hazards. In addition to bacteria and viruses, which are biological hazards, there are two other types of hazards that can make a person ill: chemical and physical hazards. A chemical hazard is a toxic substance that can cause illness if it gets into food. A physical hazard is an object that can cause injury or illness if ingested. Toxic products. A toxic product contains chemicals that can cause a person to become ill if ingested, absorbed through the skin, or inhaled. Ensure chemical and toxic products are labeled and store them in a designated area to reduce the risk of contamination or injury. Toxic or poisonous items that should be stored separately include detergents, sanitizers, polishers and cleaners, insecticides, including food-grade insecticides, rodenticides, pest control, including food-grade insecticides, first aid supplies and personal medications, chemical storage and use. Toxic products should not be stored together with food, in preparation areas, with utensils, or with disposable items. Label all toxic products with their common name. Only use restaurant-approved chemicals in food areas. Chemicals can get into food by mislabeling toxic products, misusing toxic products, storing toxic products next to food or next to single-service items, not allowing utensils and equipment to air dry before use, reusing containers that were originally used as chemical containers to store food, using a chlorine solution greater than 200 ppm, or using a quaternary ammonium solution greater than 400 ppm. To prevent chemical contamination, chemicals must be properly labeled and stored in an area away from food. Labels must be in English. Other languages are allowed, but English must also be used. Sanitizers must be kept at appropriate concentrations, and all utensils and equipment must be air dried to prevent chemical contamination. 19. Physical hazards are objects that can cause injury or illness if ingested. Some examples of physical hazards include broken glass, metal shavings, form a can opener in disrepair, for example, styrofoam, plastic, from broken or cracked containers, for example. To prevent physical hazards, utensils and equipment must be maintained in good condition and overhead lights must be shielded. Insect and rodent control. Insects and rodents can carry disease and contaminate food and food contact surfaces. Use the following safety measures to prevent their presence. Protect outside openings and ensure outer openings are properly sealed. Keep exterior doors closed, repair screens, keep the doors tight-fitting and use air curtains properly. Eliminate possible nesting conditions by keeping the establishment clean and free of unused equipment and clutter. Use a licensed pest control company for routine service and maintenance. Carefully check food deliveries. Clean behind and underneath equipment on a regular basis. Water, plumbing, and waste. Water and ice used in a retail food service establishment must be from an approved source. Hot water at a minimum temperature of 100 degrees Fahrenheit per 38 degrees Celsius must be available for use during all hours of operation. The water heater or other hot water production method must meet the hot water demands of the establishment during peak hours of operation. Sewage and waste disposal. exposed waste or sewage is prohibited in an establishment and may result in immediate closure. Sewage and waste exposure examples include a leak in a waste pipe, a clogged drain that backs up onto the floor, and an overflowing septic tank or grease trap. Proper waste disposal and sewage disposal are required. Mop water should be discarded in a utility sink and not in the parking lot, outside drain, storm sewers, or on the grass. Sewage overflow within an establishment is considered an imminent health hazard and the establishment must self-close until the problem is corrected. Call the health department if you are not sure what to do. 20. If a waste sewage overflow occurs, the affected area must be cleaned and sanitized before the facility can reopen. An authorized contractor must clean grease traps regularly. Cross connections and backflow. A cross connection is the connection between the drinking water system and the non-drinking water system. A backflow occurs when contaminated water is diverted to the clean water supply due to improper cross connections. Backflow prevention. Use an air gap, i.e., a hose not connected to a faucet or an indirect pipe. Do not leave hoses connected to the dishwasher without a backflow prevention device. The hose spray nozzle should hang above the edge of the dishwasher. Install a vacuum switch on the faucet to prevent backflow. This automatically creates a physical barrier in the faucet when there is a loss of water pressure in the pipe. Plan review procedure. Before opening an establishment and beginning operation or when making plumbing or equipment changes at permitted food service establishments, plans must be submitted for review to ensure that they comply with current codes and regulations. Plans must be approved before work begins at the establishment. Obtain a plan review application. The office is located at Louisville Metro Public Health and Wellness, 400 East Gray Street, 2nd floor, Louisville, Kentucky, 40202, or visit www.louisvillechi.gov/health. Submit the project as outlined in the application form, including floor plans and a plumbing riser diagram showing all the appliances, underfloor pipes, and equipment connections. All food service establishments must have an adequate number of hand sinks, a utility sink and a 3-compartment sink. Use of a mechanical dishwasher is optional. Contact the Metropolitan Sewer District, MSD, for grease trap questions and approval. Louisville Metro Plan Review 502-574-6598. KY Division of Plumbing 502-429-4441. Louisville Metropolitan Sewer District, MSD, 502-540-6974. 21. Inspections. Every permitted food service establishment in the Louisville metro area, Jefferson County, receives a minimum of 1 inspection annually. Most establishments receive 2 inspections annually. The inspection form is based on the model found in the 2013 FDA Food Code. The inspection form contains 58 items that are evaluated. Each item is assigned a point value of 1, 2, or 3 points for a total of 100 points. During the inspection, the compliance status for each item is marked as IN, out, NA, not applicable, or NO, not observed. Priority items that are out of compliance result in a failed inspection. Core items that are out of compliance do not result in a failed inspection. Imminent health hazard. Some conditions present an imminent health hazard, which means they are a significant health threat or risk that requires immediate correction or the termination of operations to prevent injury. An establishment should self-close if any of the following conditions exist. No electricity. No water. A rodent or insect infestation. The presence of sewage in preparation, storage, transport, or food service areas. Exposure to sewage, which can restrict hand washing, ware washing, or the use of a bathroom. If a food inspector finds any of these conditions, the establishment will be ordered to close until the problem has been corrected. The establishment cannot reopen until a re-inspection has been conducted. Additionally, if an establishment earns less than 60 points on an inspection, the health department will order it to close until the violations have been corrected and the inspector verifies that it is safe to reopen for operation. It is better for an establishment to self-close rather than receive an order to close from the health department. 22. 23. Conclusion. The mission of the Food Safety Program at the Department of Public Health and Wellness is to prevent foodborne illness through risk-based inspections, investigations, and education. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact us at 502-574-6650 or visit www.louisville.gov. Health points to remember: only work when you are healthy and stay home if you are sick. Wash your hands frequently following the proper hand washing procedure. Wash your hands before putting on and after taking off gloves. Use a barrier such as tongs, deli tissue, or disposable gloves when handling ready-to-eat foods. Do not block hand sinks. Keep cold foods at 41 degrees Fahrenheit per 5 degrees Celsius or below. Keep hot foods at 135 degrees Fahrenheit per 58 degrees Celsius or above. Rapidly reheat food to 165 degrees Fahrenheit per 74 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds within 2 hours. Cool foods properly, from 135 degrees Fahrenheit per 58 degrees Celsius to 70 degrees Fahrenheit per 21 degrees Celsius within 2 hours, and from 70 degrees Fahrenheit to 41 degrees Fahrenheit per 5 degrees Celsius within 4 hours. Do not eat or drink in a food prep area. Use a designated area only. Keep the food preparation area clean and sanitized. Properly label and store toxic chemicals. Wash, rinse, sanitize and air dry surfaces, utensils, and equipment. Prevent entry of insects and rodents by sealing exterior holes and gaps. Thoroughly check food deliveries for dented cans, proper temperatures, expired products, spoiled produce, and adulterated packaging. Properly thaw foods. Date mark. Do not reuse single-use service items. Food contact surfaces must be hard, smooth, and easy to clean. Comply with certified food manager requirements. Do not wash your hands in a 3-compartment sink or mop sink. Wash your hands after eating, drinking, smoking, or using your mobile phone. Do not use the same cutting board for raw meats and ready-to-eat foods. Do not store or prepare food in a mop sink or hand sink. Do not use a hand sink as a dump sink. Do not operate a facility that has no hot water. Do not keep hoses connected to the mop sink faucet, or any faucet, unless a backflow prevention device has been installed. Tell your manager if you suddenly feel ill or if you have been ill. Self-close the establishment if there is a wastewater or sewage leak or backup. Glossary. Allergen. Normal substances that cause an acute defense reaction in a person's immune system. Backflow prevention device. A plumbing device used to prevent backflow of a solid, liquid, or gas contaminant into the water supply system. Clean-in-place equipment. Stationary equipment that cannot be submerged in water. This type of equipment must be disassembled and then cleaned and sanitized using the spray method or with a solution at the appropriate concentration. Consumer advisory. An establishment is required to disclose if they are serving raw or undercooked animal food items and inform consumers through a written statement of the increased risk of foodborne illness if these items are consumed. Cross-contamination. Transference of disease-causing organisms due to improper cleaning or sanitizing of surfaces, poor personal hygiene, and poor food protection practices. HACP, Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Point, Plan, a systematic approach to identify, evaluate, and control food safety hazards. Highly susceptible population, HSP individuals such as young children, pregnant women, the elderly, and those with a weakened immune system due to age or medical condition. Hygienic practices, any human behavior or activity that affects food safety. Microorganisms, germs, tiny organisms such as viruses, protozoa, or bacteria that can only be seen under a microscope. shellfish, frozen or fresh oysters, clams, mussels, scallops. Non-food contact surface, any surface that does not come into direct contact with food. Person in charge, PIC, person who can demonstrate adequate food safety knowledge and performs related duties. Ready-to-eat foods, RTE, foods that are ready for human consumption and do not require further cooking or preparing. Sanitizing, reducing the number of disease-causing organisms to an acceptable level. SHENs, the diagnoses subject to exclusion, which include Salmonella typhi, hepatitis A virus, Shiga toxin-producing Escherichia coli, norovirus, Shigella spp, or nontyphoidal salmonella. TPHC, time as a public health control, using time without temperature control to ensure the safety of TCS food. Time temperature control for safety food, TCS, food that requires time temperature control for safety to limit microorganism growth or toxin formation. Examples include milk or dairy products, cooked rice, eggs, meat, poultry, fish, shellfish and products containing those ingredients. Utensil, a food contact implement or container used in the storage, preparation, transportation, dispensing, sale or service of food. 26. This page intentionally left blank.